Hey guys, welcome back to Come Again TV, the only place on YouTube where all geek culture collides. I'm Shannon, and I just want to jump on here and do a quick video since I hadn't uploaded in a little bit. I found a figure from my childhood on Facebook Marketplace a couple weeks ago. I bought it and he arrived, and he's been sitting literally on my keyboard ever since. Now, this figure was one of my favorite toys growing up. And I'm not sure if it's because of the metallic look of it or just the overall design. But I used to watch this show every Saturday morning. I believe it was on right after He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in the 80s. And this was actually the very first interactive TV show. When I say interactive, the toy line came out for it, this series. It used flashing lights on the TV screen to interact with the toys. So you can use the jets and stuff like that, or guns, and fire at these machines that were attacking, and it would actually show up on the screen via flashing lights. And of course, the show I'm talking about and the toy line I'm talking about is none other than Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Now, a few years back, I say a few years, it was actually the same year that Comic-Geddon started. Back in 2016, there was rumors of a reboot series coming out called Phoenix Rising. Now, nothing ever came of that, regretfully, but it did kind of reignite my interest in this series. Now, this is a vintage figure. So it does have some loose elbow joint. I don't want to move it around too much because, let's see if, here we go. As you can see, that pin is sticking out quite a bit right there. The other arm is getting there, but yeah, and this, if you shine a light behind it right there, it'll light up the Phoenix logo here, which I don't think I have any lights. So the best thing I got is this. As you can see there, that looks pretty cool. Let me turn the light off real quick and show you. Okay. Now, it may look like I'm holding it right up to the figure, but I'm not. It's about that far away. And they had all these figures. Captain Power, Captain Jonathan Power, I want to say his name was. He was leader of this squad. I forget the villain's name, but he was part machine, part man, and he controlled the machines. And it was a really amazing TV series that was ahead of its time. I say amazing, but I mean, the storylines weren't really anything too amazing. The interactivity of it was amazing. Now I'm going to do a close-up of Captain Power here. He didn't come with any weapons. I'm sure the weapons got lost over time. Let's see if it'll focus on him. Nope. But I had, as a kid, I had this figure. I had his little stand thingy that he would jump on, he would stand on, and it would kind of, in the show, it would kind of digitize his armor on him or whatever it was, which was really cool. I want to say it had really Deep Space Nine style storylines for it. Like I haven't watched it since the 80s. I want to say, see, I was in kindergarten, maybe first grade when it was on. So I want to say 86 to 88, maybe. Maybe a little bit earlier. I'm not sure. It's been so long. But this series really needs to be rebooted, revived. Maybe not make it live action. Maybe make it animated. I think it would do really well. I wouldn't call it Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, though. Because back in the 80s, that seemed really cool to say, because we were on the verge of the future. We were right on the verge of the new millennium. But looking back at it, it's like, the future of what, you know? Would they actually call themselves the soldiers of the future nowadays? Just like the Silverhawks theme song from the 80s. One part metal, the other part real. Like, metal's real? So it's kind of redundant almost. But yeah, I wanted to get on here and share this. He does have, some wear on the chromed out parts, like right here on his chest and on his butt here. But overall, really nice. I remember when I was in third grade, I was at a friend's house, her friend's apartment, hanging out, whatever. And his mom and my mom were in the living room talking, and I discovered he had this figure. Mine had long been gone, after several moves or whatever. So I thought it was really cool. I had asked if I could borrow it. He was okay with me borrowing it. His mom and my mom, not so much. But me, I did something I wasn't supposed to. I kind of pocketed it. And I was playing with it at home, and my mom saw it and asked me where I got that, and I told her the truth. And she was disappointed in me, told me I needed to give it back the next day at school. I did. I walked up to the kid and I handed it to him. I said, "Here, I'm sorry I took this. I only planned on borrowing it. I had always planned on giving it back. I didn't think you would mind, since you were okay with me borrowing it to begin with. It was just your mom that wasn't okay with it." He was cool with it, understanding it wasn't really important to him or anything. But yeah, that's a fond memory I have of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. I remember when this first aired, we lived in an apartment, and every Saturday morning I did what kids did back then. I sat on the floor in front of our console TV, one of those big box TVs that's inside like a wood frame that sits on the floor. And I would have my Captain Power toys with me. I would also have my Masters of the Universe toys and Ghostbusters toys and stuff like that. And depending on what show was on, that would be the show that I would be holding on to the toys and then kind of acting out the episode or whatever. But yeah, it was really ahead of its time, and I really wish I wish these old shows would come back onto streaming. I know He-Man and the Masters of the Universe did, Silverhawks did, Thundercats did. It's time to bring back Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Now, he is 3 3/4, same size as his G.I. Joe. Not really the same style of construction as a G.I. Joe. He's got articulation in the shoulders, which you can go back and forth. Plus, you can do about that far off to the side, and that's because of these shoulder pads here. Sorry, I keep going off to that side. It's because of the shoulder pads. And then you have the the elbow articulation, which I'm not going to do too much. The head can turn. It does feel kind of weak, so I'm not going to turn it too much, just side to side. Back in the day, it could spin all the way around if you really wanted it to. I'm not going to do that. You move at the hip all the way around. It is not on an O-ring, though, which is what the vintage G.I. Joe was. It is on a hinge joint, and you can bend the knees just like that. He doesn't stand too well on his own, but the way I have him on my keyboard is he's up at the very top, standing right behind the F8 and F9 keys, and his feet are like right underneath the keys. I never use the the function keys, so his feet are right underneath those keys, and that's what's holding him up. But yeah, I wish they would bring this toy line back. Pretty cool designs. Captain Power was always my favorite. There were a few others. Their suits didn't really look as cool as Captain Power's, though. So there you have it. I know this isn't how I typically produce videos on this channel. I'm still really, really busy with school and my internship and substitute teaching and all that other stuff. So I don't really have the time that I once did to produce videos and do all the editing and everything that I once did. But I will be graduating at the end of this year, 2025. I'll be graduating in December with my master's degree in clinical counseling. And then I'll be taking my licensure exam for my LPC, licensed professional counselor. And then after 2 years, I can test for my LCPC, licensed clinical professional counselor. So, and I plan on specializing in autism and neurodivergent affirming treatment, care, counseling, stuff like that. Which I'm currently working towards in my internship. We're bringing a lot of really great things to the to my placement site, working on a presentation for supports for neurodivergent people in the workplace. Me and another counselor who is also autistic. In fact, she's ADHD, autistic and ADHD. And we're currently working on putting together a group therapy for autistics. I already did the paperwork and stuff. It's waiting final approval. That could be a couple months. And we're also working on bringing starting a peer support group for autistics in the community. I'm autistic myself. I was diagnosed back last year in June, I want to say. I was self-diagnosed before that, and suspected might be autistic or had Asperger's, whatever you want to call it, for a few years prior to that. But over the year, I really began to strongly suspect that I was autistic, on the spectrum at least. And I've been studying it. And I received my official diagnosis last year. And I've just been consuming so much information about autism and neurodivergent affirming care, and all this. And that's what I want to specialize in, is autism. I'm not doing diagnoses, which eventually I do plan on getting my certification for. It's specialized certification training on the master's level. Otherwise, it is already built into a doctoral program. I'm turning 42 this year. I really don't have time to do a doctoral program. I'm raising kids. We own our house. I would have to move to Chicago if I wanted to get my doctorate. And that's just not really something I want to do. I do not want to live in a big city. Don't want to sell our house. So, yeah, if you guys can bear with me for another year, and then hopefully once I graduate and get my licensure and everything, I'll have more time on my hands to be able to produce videos the way I used to, and be able to produce the history and origins videos that I like to. I know a lot of people have been asking about the next part of the Highlander series on history and origins. And that one was going to be mythos. When I was doing the research, there was a lot of stuff to sort through. And I just really don't have time to sort through it right now. It is still coming. Give me another year. I know it's been a few years since I did the Highlander series. Give me another year. Let me finish school. And then once I have extra time, I will bring you the history and origins Highlander explains, or Highlander explained mythos video, along with several other history and origins videos. Just bear with me, please. So yeah, we are at year 9 this year of Come Again TV. I started this channel with John Weiss, who sadly passed away during COVID. And it's nowhere near at the height of some of the other comic book and pop culture related channels like Comics Explained or Comicstorian, who sadly passed away this past summer. But it is getting up there. We do have a pretty large subscriber count, nowhere near their numbers. But we are growing, and we are growing steadily. I will try to keep putting out some kind of a video, probably more like this, not quite so edited, until I have more time on my hands. So if you guys can bear with me through that, I promise you I will bring you better quality videos in the future. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So take care, geeks.